Okay, we're with Meaghan. And we have a few questions. So first, how did you find food freedom, and what made you say, I want to reach out and learn more?
Oh, how did I find it? I found it on Instagram and I can't remember through what. But it was like a post of a post that I like then clicked into and did a deep dive and found it.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then there was a 3-day virtual like lunchtime
Okay.
webinar type course.
Mhm.
That was like very reasonably priced to learn about intuitive eating.
Mhm.
So I signed up for that and attended those, and like pretty much everything that Sammy talked about, I was like, yup, yup, yup.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's me. So I decided to look into the bigger program. I can't remember what this one was called, Mastermind.
Yeah.
um, and I don't really know what made me kind of take the plunge to do it. I think it was like living or being in quarantine and like a small space, living in the same space as somebody else
Mhm.
and like working and doing everything in the same spot. It was kind of just like, I think it became maybe more apparent, or I just got fed up with it being constantly talked about, like food and diet.
Mhm.
And it was like, it was weighing on me mentally for sure. So I just went for it.
Yeah. Glad you did. Okay, number two, how has your relationship with food changed throughout this process?
A lot. Prior to, I was like tracking macros and calories for like a year, I think, maybe a year and a half.
Mhm.
I had gotten a scale and I was weighing myself every day. But I was very specific in what I was eating and allowing myself to eat. It was impacting like going out with friends to eat. I would get anxiety around that. Even just like being at work, if someone would bring in treats. Um, and then through this program, I haven't weighed myself since, and I have not tracked anything since. So I've gotten many hours of my life back
Yeah.
because tracking macros. Someone recently mentioned like, oh, I think I should start tracking macros, and I like my stomach hurt thinking of it. I'm like, you're gonna lose so much time. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Um, but now it's like I have a craving for something, I eat it.
Mhm.
And I've seen that when I do that, I end up eating less overall that day because I'm like more satisfied than if I were to eat something just because like an app told me it fit.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely still struggle with like portion size, but that's something that I think has also been ingrained in me from being the fifth of 6 kids and like fighting for our food when we were younger. So I definitely overeat in terms of portion size, but and like I still pick things that make me feel good. Like I'm very active, so like I want to fuel my body appropriately, but I definitely am not like depriving of any like treats or bread or anything. I think I had it for every meal yesterday. Um, so I think in terms of like the thought that goes into it and any anxiety around it has drastically changed, which is very welcomed.
Yeah. Yeah, you've made a lot of progress with just getting off this I mean, just stopping weighing yourself was really huge
Yeah,
for you. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, what was your biggest takeaway or aha moment from the last 6 months, either in the group or the course or our work together?
Um, I feel like there's like been a few, but I think that would like sum them all up would be like I think the analogy of like depriving ourselves of food when hungry is like the same as depriving a baby a bottle, or like trying to hold your breath to breathe, or like going pee, as like just like an inherent bodily function,
Right.
was like pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Um, but then I think also like accepting that there's like an, I don't think this is the right word at all, but it's so kind of embarrassing that I'm being recorded, but like an equilibrium that your body stays at, or like should be at.
Yep.
So like even when you diet and if you did like lose weight, you're always going to bounce back, because like there is a standard set that you should be at for your body that is like operating optimally.
Right.
And that like enjoying your food is not a punishment, and it doesn't actually change very much about your body, at least in my case.
Mhm.
Like it's not like I've had to like buy new clothes or anything. Like I still look the same. But I'm like not a psycho.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it. Would you recommend Find Food Freedom to a friend, and why?
Yes, because I don't think that anyone or majority of people would be able to recognize like the disgusting world of diet culture that we're so immersed in without it. At least like the people that are in my bubble or circle. Um, because I think it's hard to do on your own, in terms of like recognizing like, oh, I need to like purge all everything I look at, essentially. Um, I think the biggest help for me has been the course, and like going through it on my own, and like recognizing or learning things that way, and like writing things out.
Mhm.
I haven't gotten all the way through it yet, but that for me has been more helpful than the in-person or virtual sessions. And but I will say I think that the virtual sessions have been helpful, and that it's been holding me accountable to actually complete the course.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of work to like dedicate to, like you know you do your full-time job, and then you get off at like 7 or 8, and you're like, oh, I just can't do, like, because it feels like work for a
Yeah.
long time, like it really does. So getting started at night is really hard,
Yeah.
and then once you start it, you're like, oh yeah, this is actually really easy and very helpful.
Yeah.
But getting started is like really hard
Yeah.
when you're tired. So I think that like the sessions with the group or one-on-ones helped to just be like, okay, just sit down and do some of it. And then you realize that it's impactful and like actually helps every day, but it is hard to like get yourself to sit down and do it, because it's a lot,
Yeah.
like, mentally
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you kind of have to like show up for it.
unpack shit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you very much for that.